Well, we will now come to our fourth speaker tonight. I would say even, let's say, one of the fathers of the AL network. And as most of you probably heard and read in the beginning of this year, there was lots of discussions on the topic Jurgen will present tonight. So Jurgen, may I just hand over to you?
Sure. Do you hear me loud and clear?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. So first things first, I have to warn you, I am actually in my bathtub in my hotel room. I don't know if I'm the first speaker, but I'm taking this thing very, very seriously. So I am now stark naked. Of course, I turn off the camera. I am now stark naked in my bathtub in my hotel room doing this bathtub thing. And I think all speakers from now on should take this very seriously. Actually, what I'm doing, what I want to talk about, is the Stoos thing, the Stoos gathering that I have helped organize earlier in this year. And it's not really a presentation because I just want to talk about some stuff. But of course, it's nice to have some visuals to look at instead of me in my bathtub. I have some slides to support my chatting away. And it all started in November or October. That was when the Scrum gathering in London took place, where Steve Denning was doing a keynote, and I was doing a presentation there as well. And Steve and I have been admirers of each other's work, and we had some interesting disagreements online in a very friendly way. So we wanted to meet each other, and he suggested to have dinner, and of course I agreed. And Steve said, "Can Peter Stevens come along?" Because he is a friend of mine. And the three of us had great conversations over dinner. And what we talked about was, why is management changing so slowly? There have been great examples of management for decades. Actually, we know what we should be doing, but nobody is really doing it, or few organizations are doing what the experts have been telling us to do since decades. So we're talking about that, and then we came up with the idea, why not organize a little event, have some people discuss this some more. And so the first idea for a gathering was born, and that was, as I said, in October or November last year. And then I believe it was Peter who said, I know Franz Rosalie, who is a leading figure in the Beyond Budgeting movement. So we got him involved, and the four of us then started planning and organizing. And we had a very ambitious time scale, which was we wanted to organize something early January, right after Christmas and New Year, because we thought some people would then still be available before the real work of the new year starts. So that's what we did. We started inviting people. I think about 50, 60 invitations went out at least. And we also announced online that we were planning this thing, the Stoos gathering in Switzerland, because Franz has suggested to convene at a mountain in Stoos. That's what it is pronounced. So I blogged about it, Steve blogged about it, and the others as well, and we started asking for input, etc. And then we convened at the Stoos mountain. This is a picture of Stoos. It was a beautiful environment, but unfortunately I didn't get to see a lot of it, or actually nothing, because we were just busy talking with each other. And it was called the Stoos gathering, and this is a picture of everyone who was there. There were 21 people in total, and you might recognize a few people. There was Esther Derby and Deborah Hartman-Preuss and Kati Vilki from Finland, Klaus Leopold from the Kanban movement, and Michael Spade and Roy Osherov, plenty of people that we are familiar with in the Agile world, and Sanjeev Augustine, Simon Roberts, etc. And on the walls we had lots of input from the people who sent us comments and things to think over. So we printed those and had them on the walls. And then we had some interesting discussions in the forum that was organized in the form of a open space. We all suggested some topics to talk about. Like I wanted to talk about fundamental axioms of management. Is there some way that we can unite all the management models? While others wanted to talk about expectations and reasons for the world being so bad as it is. And then we started chatting, and this is a picture of Steve, who organized a session about the reasons, the causality. Why did we end up in this situation? And it was very interesting, and the results are up on the Stoos Network website in the form of a big mind map. And we had a lot of fun, but at the same time there was also some criticism. And that was very interesting. That was this was our criticism was there was not enough managers in the room. Well, that was an interesting point, but I did have some comments about that particular criticism. First of all, there was plenty of management experience in the room. Just because a person is an author now, like Steve Denning, doesn't mean that the person doesn't have any management experience. Because Steve has been a manager for, I believe, 20 or 30 years. And it's the same with me. I've been a manager for 15 years, and the same with many other people in the room. So some are right now consultants, or some are writers or whatever, but they have been managing teams for many, many years. Another comment of mine was that if you want to change management, it doesn't mean that you have to start with management, certainly not with the skeptics. Change management starts with building a guiding coalition, start with the innovators, the people who want things to change. Let's get them together first, and then talk about how to convince the rest of the world. And we also discussed what other stakeholders there are, because it's not just about management. We were talking about how to accelerate organizational transformation. This is broader than just convincing managers that they have to do something else. So one of the sessions was about identifying stakeholders, which is a step before inviting management. And we came up with many, many different stakeholders, actually. I will show you in a moment. And there was also the problem of our ambitious time constraint, which meant we tried to organize things within a period of 2 months, and many people had busy calendars. So yes, we did invite some CEOs of big companies, but you know CEOs, they are very, very busy. So many of them were very interested, but only if they could be invited for another event in half a year or so, and not within 2 months. That was simply impossible for them. Another good comment that we received was that there was not enough feedback during the event. Some complained that we were a bit silent on Twitter and other social networks. Well, they did have a point, but the problem was we had people together, 21 people, most of whom didn't know each other. And if you want to create a guiding coalition for change, the first thing that you have to do is to create trust among those people themselves. So we didn't really anticipate this, but we had a 30-minute discussion at the start of the event about what to publish and what not to publish, and some people were simply not comfortable with the fact that others might be twittering about the things that they were saying about their personal experiences. And we have to respect that in order to create trust. So we then concluded after a 30-minute discussion about this that we would be very conservative in terms of what we would send out during the 1.5 day that we were together. Unfortunately, this led to a bit of a backlash, but well, we deserved it perhaps in some way because we didn't anticipate it. It was a logical conclusion. So we learned that for the next time we do have to be do a bit more of expectation management. We raised expectations for some people too high, and then we were somewhat a bit silent during the event. That was useful feedback. But it is all about inspecting and adapting, and that is what we're doing right now. We're still having discussions with the 21 who were there over an email list and considering what our next steps are going to be. And we certainly learned from this, from the useful comments that we received. Now, about the outcomes of the event, one thing that was most valuable for me was that we had this realization that organizations can become learning networks of individuals creating value. And the role of leadership includes stewardship of the living rather than management of the machine. Now, this resonated very well with me because, well, many of you know that I am heavily into complexity science and complexity thinking, and this is simply the science rephrased into popular words. This is about complex adaptive systems that are trying to survive in an ever-changing environment. But that is a bit boring message. It is more useful to say that organizations are learning networks of individuals creating value, but it means more or less the same thing. So I found this very, very useful. Another thing that emerged was the LinkedIn group, the Stoos Network group, because we decided that we had to reach out to others, and many people said, how can we join? How can we contribute? So there's this LinkedIn group that now has 750 people who are discussing how to address this organizational transformation, and there have been subgroups launched. They're being called Stoos satellites. Several of them have met already in various cities in the world, talking at the local level about organizational transformation. Oh, this is a picture of that mind map that emerged from one of the sessions that was led by Steve Denning. You can't read it, I'm not sure, but I'll just include it here to impress you all. And this is the list of stakeholders that emerged. Well, not this one. This is a later version actually. An earlier version was up on my blog, and then I iterated on it one or two more times. So now I have 25 stakeholders, no less than 25 groups of stakeholders who are somehow involved in organizational transformation. And this ranges from top management to shareholders to pension funds to HR departments and unions and customers and business schools, etc. So it is a bit naive to simply focus only on management, because personally I think that most of organizational transformation doesn't start with management. Probably we have to involve other stakeholders who can then help management from their perspective to start organizational transformation. We also started discussing which other movements are out there, which other people are trying to change the world, so to speak, and there are some famous ones, including Management Exchange by Gary Hamel and Beyond Budgeting movement, and the Agile Leadership Network, maybe not as famous, but well known within the Agile world, and many more. And I'm still working on this because I think we have to somehow involve them. If we have follow-up events, we have to make sure that these guys and girls are invited, and not keep it to not keep it at an Agile level anymore, but it is broader than just Agile and Lean. This is the list of the Stoos satellites that you can find on the LinkedIn group. And another thing that emerged was the Fearless Hamburg, organized by Deb Hartman and others, and based on her game Fearless Journey. And several other events are being discussed that might be announced later. I heard just yesterday. And then I wrote this little book, How to Change the World. I was actually already working on it because I noticed that the question that was most often asked in my courses is how can I deal with organizational culture? How can I change the behavior of other people? Well, this is basic change management, what you're talking about, and I researched this a little, came up with my own model. I turned it into a little book, And then I used the Stoos event as the theme throughout the book that I use to start every chapter with. It is available for students of my course for free, and anyone else can buy it for just €1.50 or about $2. So it will not really make you that poor, I suppose. And right now I am simply moving all over the world, talking with people, and I decided to have coffee with people, because many times people are asking me, when you're over in my city, can we have a drink or whatever? And my answer is sure, why don't we have coffee? And I'm naming it Roving Coffee. I have just decided what tomorrow's location will be here in Copenhagen, where I am right now. But the next ones will be in Riga and Krakow and Bologna, Lisbon, Helsinki, Oxford. So everywhere I am, I will be available for coffee to talk with people about changing organizations and being agile at a broader scale than just software development. And the last thing that I am somehow involved in, not actively, but I'm thinking together with Martin Vollers about his conference that he's organizing in December in Brussels, which makes it easy for me because I live half of my life in Brussels. And I'm really looking forward to that event, because he really wants to address not only management but the broader perspective of organizational transformation. So we did discuss this week the various stakeholders and the many other movements that we somehow should get involved into this Rethink 2012 event that is scheduled for the end of the year. So keep an eye out for that one. Well, that's just what I wanted to talk about. Get some things off my chest. We learned a lot, and we're now discussing if and how to organize next events, because yes, we do want a follow-up on the Stoos gathering. Some want it to be a private event, others want it to be an open event. We are still discussing about that. Personally, I would love to have an open event, so I'm fighting for that. I think it's going to happen very soon, that we can announce something, but just keep following me, and I'm sure you will pick up the message as soon as it is announced. So that's it. That's what I want to talk about from my bathtub here in Copenhagen. And are there any questions about this?
Thanks, Jürgen. That was great. So any questions from the audience? No questions in the queue. So I would suggest, it's already quite late, and now you're in your bathtub, which means you're
I am enjoying myself.
Yeah, we'll continue. That was a great idea, actually, for further bathtub events. We will.
It is amazing that it is amazing that I'm the first one, actually.
Yeah, it's a good idea. We'll pick it up and forward it to the next organizers.
Exactly.
So thank you, Jürgen, for your presentation.
My pleasure.
Thanks very much. So I would simply pick up the screen on my side.